A year had passed since Emily and I parted ways, and life had unfolded in a way I could never have imagined. I now lived in a modest condo downtown, far from the house that once echoed with the laughter, arguments, and moments we had shared. My days had settled into a quiet routine, a mix of work, books, and the occasional gathering. It was simple, unremarkable, and yet it brought me the peace I had longed for after the storm of our separation. Since the final court hearing, there had been no contact between us, not a message, not a call. The silence between us stood like an unyielding wall, one neither of us dared approach. The wounds from our time together were still raw, and I convinced myself that the distance was necessary. Any encounter, I thought, would only reopen old scars, reigniting painful arguments that we had already fought too many times. Then, one chilly November evening, just as I was sinking into the comfort of my solitude, there was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, and the sound startled me. Cautious, I made my way to the door, curiosity gnawing at me. When I opened it, there she was, Emily. She stood on the other side, her posture tense, eyes reflecting an odd mix of purpose and vulnerability. "James," she said, her voice a soft whisper, wavering with uncertainty. "Emily, what are you doing here?" I asked, my confusion quickly giving way to guarded concern. "I know this is unexpected," she replied, twisting her hands in a nervous gesture. "But I need to talk to you. It's important." My mind raced, wondering what this was about. Was she here to dig up the past? To bring back the pain? Or was something truly wrong? Despite every instinct urging me to protect myself, I stepped aside, allowing her to enter. She walked in slowly, her movements cautious, and sat on the edge of the sofa, her back straight, her hands resting stiffly in her lap. I took a seat across from her, maintaining distance, though something inside me stirred. "It's about my father," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your father?" I repeated, genuinely surprised. Richard had always been a source of tension in our marriage. From the beginning, he had made it clear he didn't approve of me, his constant interference creating an ever-growing wedge between us. "He's very sick," she continued, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "The doctors don't think he has much time left. And he's been asking to see you." "Me?" I said, my surprise deepening. I could barely process the words. She hesitated before answering, her voice trembling slightly. "He wants to apologize, James. He feels responsible for what happened between us." The word struck me like a blow. Richard, the same man who had spent years trying to sabotage our relationship, now wanted to make amends. Part of me wanted to dismiss it outright. How could I possibly believe this? But another part of me, a part one didn't expect, felt something stir, curiosity, maybe even empathy. "I don't know, Emily," I said after a long silence. "This is a lot to take in." She nodded quickly, her expression earnest. "I understand. But it would mean a great deal to him. And to me." I studied her face, searching for any hint of manipulation, but instead I saw honesty. Sincerity. Despite everything that had passed between us, despite the bitterness and the scars, there was still a part of me that cared, if only in the smallest way. After what seemed like an eternity, I sighed. "Okay, I'll do it." 2 days later, I found myself standing outside Richard's hospital room, my heart pounding in my chest. I wasn't sure what I was about to walk into. Emily stood beside me, her face unreadable, her usual composure betraying nothing. She gave me a subtle nod and I stepped forward, pushing open the door. Richard was sitting in a chair by the window, his once imposing figure now frail, diminished. His skin was pale and his body seemed to shrink under the weight of illness. But when he saw me, his face lit up with a weak but sincere smile. "James," he said, his voice rough but steady. "Thank you for coming." I nodded, unsure of what to say. 1,000 emotions collided within me, anger, sorrow, confusion. He motioned for me to sit and I did, unsure of what to expect. "I've had a lot of time to think," he began, his eyes distant as though lost in his thoughts. "And I realize now just how much I interfered. I thought I was protecting Emily, but I only ended up hurting both of you." His words stunned me. For years, I had blamed him for the collapse of our marriage, for the pain we both endured. To hear him admit his role in it was jarring. I didn't know how to respond at first. "We made our own mistakes too," I said quietly after a long pause. A faint smile tugged at his lips. "Perhaps," he agreed. "But I hope you can forgive an old man who sees things too late." I swallowed hard, feeling an unexpected wave of emotion. I hadn't come here seeking forgiveness, but here it was, given and received in the same breath. "I forgive you," I said, my voice steady now. And for the first time in a long time, it felt real. That conversation didn't erase the past, but it softened its edges, allowing space for something I hadn't known I needed: peace. In the days that followed, Emily and I didn't rekindle what we once had. That part of our story had ended, and neither of us sought to rewrite it. But we came together again, not as lovers, but as two people who had shared a chapter of their lives and found a way to move forward. We stood together at Richard's funeral weeks later, not as a couple, but as two people who had found something resembling peace. In the months that followed, we spoke not of what had broken us but of what we had once built, the lessons we had learned, and how we had changed. We didn't go back. There was no need. Some chapters are meant to close. Then one day I received a letter from Richard's lawyer. He had left me a modest inheritance. Enclosed with it was a handwritten note. "James, thank you for forgiving me. Use this to begin something new. You deserve it. Richard." The simplicity of his words struck me deeply. Richard's final act wasn't one of grand gestures or riches. It was a quiet offering of closure. It was exactly what I needed. That November night when Emily knocked on my door, I never could have imagined where it would lead. Not to a rekindled romance, but to something perhaps more profound. The chance to heal, to forgive, and to begin again. Not with her, but within myself. I've learned that forgiveness isn't just something we give to others. It's a gift we give ourselves, a way to free ourselves from the weight of the past.